Leanne, we don't climb stairs the way we used to. And thank you so much to Topco and to Nedbank for inviting me. And thank you, Mfundo, for your opening remarks. And thank you for highlighting all those figures, because I will not touch any figures in my speech. I leave that to your capable hands. I am also sorry to be red. It's not a red bank. I have a terrible flu. I needed to put on a blanket. I didn't have a green blanket. So the 9th annual Nedbank Top Empowerment Conference is also a milestone. Thank you for continuing to do this work. And this year, we also mark our 30 years of a democratic South Africa, with all its ups and downs. It is still a democratic state, and we're thankful for that. I also have to brag. It's wonderful for me to see Mfundo standing here, because Mfundo worked for me as a young, handsome man who has now mellowed into a senior, handsome man. And he was as clever as anything. It was such a pleasure to see them coming up at the Department of Trade and Industry, doing wonderful work to set up the institutions that have helped us to defend our democracy in very trying times. So thank you for all the work that you did with your team. Also, we have gone through a period in our democracy of reconstruction and development. Do you still remember the RDP? I come from that generation where we paid allegiance to the RDP, where we were very much focused in trying to build a capable state that can serve the people. The first 10 years in particular were devoted to that. We had adopted a constitution that has continued to be our guide, so that even when we have faced many difficulties, we have been able to go back to the constitution and to find our way back because of the constitution. We adopted a constitution that was very optimistic about South Africans. We just didn't know that we are so bad. How this constitution has been tested in a way that we could never have imagined when we drafted it. And yet, it has been resistant. We're very proud of the fact that we have protected the free press, because that too has been very critical for our democracy. We're very proud that we have a robust judiciary, because that too has also protected our democracy. We are grateful for the freedom of speech, because in South Africa, you can swear at anybody and get away with it. The president, you can call him anything, and you can still get away with it and go and demand things from him. We also are very proud of the fact that we have freedom of association. You can form any organization. Sometimes I worry about that, because I just wonder where it will get to. But anyway, freedom of association. We have any and every party that you can imagine in South Africa today. We were also able to join the global community, guided by our constitutions. And many of the institutions that we rejoined as South Africa have helped to shape us, have been able to help us find our place in the international stage, in the economic institutions such as the World Bank, the IMF, and we have been able to have our voices heard. We've also been able to build our education system as well as to destroy it. We have been able to build our health system as well as destroy it. And that worries all of us a lot. And that is why 30 years now, we feel that we have got to look at how we go back to base and we rebuild these institutions so that they can serve societies. So while we've done some promising and incredible things in South Africa, we also messed up big time. And right now, we are concerned about ensuring that this mess does not become the story of South Africa. The story of South Africa has got to be better than this. We are 30 years now, and we have got the born-frees who have grown up in an environment where they have not actually experienced a government that works properly. And it is not acceptable that we are providing role models for these young people that they cannot look up to. And this is the change that we think is critical now. We are also significantly affected by energy availability, which compromised our economy, our social life, and many more. We were affected by COVID. The last time anyone experienced a pandemic was a time when we did not have this size of population. But this pandemic hit us so hard, and it hit our economy, and let alone the pain that it caused our people. We also experienced in South Africa corruption of industrial scale. Just unbelievable corruption. And again, thank you to our civil society for never keeping quiet. Thank you to our whistleblowers for continuing to whistleblow. Thank you to our judiciary that also did their job when they were, when the cases were brought in front of them. And all was possible because of our constitution. We had tension in our political system. Tension that could have broken the country into pieces. We thank our electoral system for being robust and for adjudicating the matters that could have divided us. Instead, our electoral system gave us a GNU. We were miles apart, torn apart. The citizen casted their vote. We listened to the will of the people, and thankfully also our ruling party of the time accepted the will of the people. And now we have a GNU, a government of national unity. It is a big problem that we are the country that is most unequal in the world. For me, that is one thing that really worries me about South Africa. I don't think that this is something that a government can address alone. It needs society, it needs private sector, it needs all institutions that we have in South Africa. And the fact that 30 years after democracy was still there, it means that all these institutions are not working together, are not addressing this one major issue that our society faces, which also contributes to the unemployment that we have, the poverty that we have. So if there was anything I would hope you could discuss here today, it is this issue. What are you in your own corner going to do in order to contribute significantly to make sure that we address this? I think the voters called on all the parties to come together to address this issue together, because they could see that parties were seeming to forget why they are in politics. They are in politics for the people, not for themselves. The citizens called them back together and said, all of you, let's just stop the noise now. Come together and address these issues. Disunity in a country can be stressful and destructive. I have been involved in the peace talks of Sudan. It is painful to see citizens of one country who are unable to talk to each other. When one stands up to say something, the anger and the pain they feel stops them from talking. They just break down and cry. I have been involved in the peace talks in Ethiopia between the federal government and the people in Tigray. It is painful to see one region of a country literally degenerating into poverty because people have been killed in a fight that they are fighting with their own government. It's like in South Africa that the national government will have a war with Mpumalanga province. And you have children, women, and everybody just massacred by their own people. They even invite another country to come and help them to massacre their own people. Just unthinkable. So the moral of the story for me is that we should never get to that point in South Africa. GNU offers us an opportunity to talk together in unity for the sake of the people. It offers us an opportunity to also address our policies and the mistakes that we have made, which have not given us the results that we desire. No one has a silver bullet here, but together we have an opportunity to address these issues and save the country. When I look at what is happening in other parts of the world, and I've seen a lot of countries, especially during my time in the United Nations, we still have lots of possibilities in South Africa, but we lack political will in the private sector, in the public sector. We only have the people that really are crying for the help that they need. But these big institutions, the private sector and the public sector, there just isn't enough political will to address these issues significantly. And 30 years gives us a time to reflect and to make sure that the next 30 years will be something different and we'll have something to be proud of. So I hope that in your deliberations today, you can find somewhere deep in you, the will to tackle these issues more seriously and significantly. Thank you.